I'm making this announcement in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, being Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, Laws of the State of New Jersey. The Planning Board Secretary has prepared a schedule of the meeting of the Planning Board of the Borough of Kenilworth for the year 2026 and had posted a true copy of this schedule on a bulletin board located at the front entrance of Borough Hall, and has mailed true copies of this schedule to the local source and Star Ledger, and is maintaining a copy of this schedule in Borough Hall. Accordingly, the notice of the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied in regards to this meeting. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Paterno?
Here.
Mr. David?
Here.
Mr. Clementi?
Here.
Mr. Mazzio?
Here.
Mr. Ladari? Mr. Scuderi?
Here.
And Mr. Grincoli?
Here. Thank you.
No other members are present.
Okay. I'd like to take a minute before we get started to advise everyone why we're here. This is a special meeting tonight for the master plan, and the master plan, after we hear from the planner and our committee about the master plan and what we are doing, then the meeting will be open to the public. However, we do have some things that we need to remind you. I'd like to gently remind you that everyone, pursuant to our local ordinance and consistent with Robert's Rule of Order, members of the public are permitted one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes. To maximize their allotted time, I would encourage commentators to present all comments and questions during that opportunity, as the timer cannot be paused and responses from the dais count towards the speaker's 3 minutes. Also, we have a curfew, according to Robert's rule, that we will be finishing our meeting up at 10 p.m. tonight, should it go that long. And if it does, we would certainly hear you up to 10. If the public is finished at 10 o'clock, there'll be a motion made by one of the board members to then open the meeting back up for another 15 minutes so that the board can then take care of the planning board business, which is the special meeting of the master plan. So thank you very much, and we will now get started. So we have the master plan public hearing. We're going to hear from Mr. Kevin O'Brien at this point. Now do our We do. Okay, so what we're going to do is swear in our professionals to prepare the master plan, and then we'll go from there.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth? Sorry, apologies. And again, do you swear to tell the truth at this evening's hearing?
Yes, I do.
And
Good.
your name for the record?
Kevin O'Brien.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Kevin, I think you got the floor to present the master plan in its entirety.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members for you, members of the public, my name is Kevin O'Brien. I served as borough planner in the borough of Kenilworth for 30 years. I retired in December. However, my job is to finish the master plan, which has been underway for about 3 years now. It's a very large undertaking, and the board has graciously worked with me to finish it. I'd like to introduce my associate, Adam Bradford, who is a professional planner licensed by the state of New Jersey, and like me is also certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. Between us, we have about 70 years of municipal, county, and state experience. Thank you, Mr. Bradford. Mr. Chairman, board members, members of the public, I draw your attention to the master plan, which is on record, online, and has been distributed to members of the board. The first thing I'd like to do is to thank the members of our subcommittee. The subcommittee's been working on this for a very long time. Greg David, the vice chair of our board, whose name is also on the wall over there as a former mayor, has been involved in this municipality for a number of years. Greg chaired our master plan committee, along with Nick Pantina, Frank Mazzio, Anthony Lidati, and Mike Scuderi, all of whom have been in endless meetings that have lasted for hours and hours. We met for 5 hours a night since January on roughly a weekly basis, and because Greg didn't want to go home some nights, we met longer than that. I think the Rangers were off. So these guys have been at it very long and very hard. We took a look at the 2011 master plan, which was the basis for all planning the borough for the last 15 years. The master plans before that have been adopted by this borough are in the record and were referenced in the 2011 master plan. So all the things that were in those prior master plans were referenced in 2011, and we look back at them in a number of ways in the current document. In the current document, we make a few changes, such as instead of having what we used to have for the sharing Merck property, which was an office research zone. We rezoned it OR, excuse me, when Merck came in, and in 2011 we gave them their own zone. We met with them at length. We worked out which uses they had that we thought were beneficial to the borough, beneficial for their employees, that we could all work together. And their zone allowed a number of uses in. We are changing that zone to the innovation zone. The innovation zone is one that is going to use technology to go ahead. What we're allowing them to do is to move forward with today's economy. A number of other changes have been made. We used to have overlays, gateway overlays, where people who were approaching the borough from various entrances. We used to have overlays that would allow property owners in the borough to institute gateway treatments, like Kenilworth, enhanced landscape, things like that. So instead of having overlays, which means that they're superimposed on an existing district, we've incorporated those enhanced landscaping and buffering ideas into the ordinance itself so that they are inherent in that zone, or part of the zone, rather than being an overlay. Other than that, the master plan is very similar to what we did in 2011. The master plan, as you know, was readopted and re-examined in 2022 and in 2023 to deal with changes within the borough, and this reflects that. I'm going to have my associate, Mr. Bradford, we'd like to use the whiteboard, if it please, Chair. I love the clock here. I'm just wondering what the bank sponsors it. I'm waiting for the timer. And by the way, I noticed 82 degrees in here. Those of you who don't have to wear jackets, this is what we're supposed to do. So let's, Kathy, what do we have to do to get that lit? We should be hooked up.
We should be hooked up.
We're jiggling the line a few times. I think that's what they had to do at Apollo 13. Knock on it. So as much as we like to use modern technology to share everything we have with everybody, as you can see here in 2026, it's still the challenge.
Is it plugged in?
Houston, we have. Kathy, is there a video document of this?
Pardon me?
Is there a video document of this? A video document?
Dennis?
Hey buddy, can you see the look and see if we're doing this right? We probably have more expertise than the rest of us.
That's something that's wrong.
It's, you know, the blue light on the bottom, it says it's on. On there.
Yeah, you're not getting any much of a difference.
That's all she's gonna hear.
Everybody else. I think you give it a minute, it doesn't go.
Here you go. You said to keep young admirers.
Wake up now.
Here you go.
So Kat, that remote's not working.
It's on the 16th, it's very light.
It's going up.
I think it's getting up.
There we go.
They hit it on the thing.
Will he be able to remote?
He's doing his
We're
thing.
good. Oh, he's up? Okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't need that.
Thank you.
Adam, are you ready, Adam?
We're getting there, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, thank you for your patience.
Are we
And
ready?
I'm going to declare defeat.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the engineer, the planner is ready to give you his commentation.
Mr. Chairman, some of the highlights from the report that you've seen previously. Key findings are that the aging population of the borough, which should be no surprise, 55 and over residents grew 48% since 2000, now roughly 40% of the population. The income is strong here in the borough. Median household income is $118,000, and the majority own over $100,000. This is households, households. Mature housing stock. If you live here all your lives, you know. 65% of the homes were built between 1940 and 1959, and the median stock age exceeds 65 years. Traffic stress. I'm not telling you anything. In Michigan and the Boulevard are tough. I've always been tough. It's the second busiest intersection in Union County. Employment structure, retail, construction, and transport give 35% of the workers. So Adam never played Vanaway before, so he's doing a great job. Thank you, Sharon. This is the introduction to the land use element of the master plan. And the introduction talks about past, present, and the future. And we talk about why a master plan has to be done. The municipal land use law, which is the law that governs every municipality, all 564 within the state of New Jersey, requires that a municipality redo their master plan every 10 years in order to keep up with changes, patterns, growth, or not growth. What we talk about here is that we're here because not only does the land use law say we've got to do this, but we realize as a board and as a community that the community is changing, it's constantly changing, and that it's up to us as a planning board to recognize those changes and plan for them. Okay. The purpose of the land use element, briefly quote, is to establish direction for zoning, redevelopment, capital planning coordination, and development review. And that's all development review within the borough. The planning board is responsible for site plan applications, subdivision applications, and applications for development. So anybody who wants to do anything other than 1 and 2 family homes has to come to this board for approval. So that application for approval, application for development process is wholly separate from this master plan. Master plan lays out the vision of the borough, what we'd like to see in the future. Subsequent to that, zoning ordinances are adopted by the borough mayor and council, which reflect the master plan. These are in place now, have been since the founding of the borough. And then subsequent to those zoning ordinances, the planning board then reviews those applications for development. Site plans, which are commercial applications, subdivisions, which is dividing property, or an application for development, which means that somebody wants to put an addition up, or they want to expand a business, or they'd like to add parking, something along those lines, or change. And this board reviews those applications at a noticed public hearing, at which the public is given notice, people who live nearby are given special notice, and this board reviews those applications for development based upon what the zoning ordinance says, what the plan, and what the master plan says. Chair, board members, here is the zoning map of Kenilworth. This represents what is on the ground currently and reflects the zoning map that was adopted back in 2015. We have put this into this document for reference so everybody can see what we are dealing with at this time. Nothing has changed from the past. For members of the public who may not have seen it, several walls around here. I made my grandchildren look at because my name's on it, so it's really cool. I'm not getting any laughs.
You're not funny. This is serious. This is
It
serious.
is very serious.
This is serious. You're not funny. You're not funny. Don't make a joke. Don't make a joke.
Yes, thank you very much. So this represents the southern ground.
Stop the joke.
Okay, well, I think the month of Okay, I'm going to drop down here so I can just paraphrase some of these. Goals and objectives, borough-wide land use goals, include preserve and enhance neighborhood character, revitalize the boulevard and Michigan Avenue corridors, modernize employment districts for innovation, integrate climate resilience into land use decisions, align zoning and capital investments with this land use elements, and implement actions to fix it. Those are the goals of the land use elements. We're going to drop down to demographics and review some of the tables that have influenced how this land use element and the master plan have been developed. So there are a number of tables that have been done that show Census Bureau and the American Community Survey information, which is a survey by the Census Bureau. It is not as precise as the Census Bureau itself, which relies upon a detailed response from every address in the community. So we're going to drop down to the economic, and we're going to go over a couple of the tables there which have influenced the development of this master plan and show you some of the changes that are going on. I'm going to turn over to Adam for some comment.
Thank you, Ken. So one of the first things that I look at in a master plan is your population. And so we looked at the U.S. Decennial Census, starting at the year 2000, 2010, and 2020. So we did 3 different decennial data points. And as you can see, the borough has been growing steadily for the last 30 years. In terms of employed residents and jobs located within Kenilworth and community, it's a little bit different of a mix. And what do I mean by that? For one thing, I'll show you what's further down. So this is from the U.S. Census Bureau's on the map, and as you saw, we have about 8,000, a little over 8,000 residents that live here, except there's a lot more residents that actually live outside the borough that work within the borough of Kenilworth. And there's about a third of that group actually work outside the borough. But there's a very small percentage of residents that actually live and work in the borough of Kenilworth. And this isn't something that's just unique to Kenilworth itself. This is what you see across, especially northern New Jersey. Going back up to the population, I wanted to show that the growth since the 1930s has been somewhat expansive. Right after World War II, the 50s is when Kenilworth really took off as a municipality in New Jersey. It dipped down a little bit in the late 80s, 90s, coming around the century mark, but they came up in population numbers almost to its height, which was almost 9,000 residents. Median household income is 126,000. Poverty rate about 6%. And this is all data that we got from the American Community Survey. So what's different between the decennial census and American Community Survey is that the decennial census asks more questions for every 10 years. However, their data isn't as robust as the American Community Survey, which because they're polling every year. So basically, for population growth, we use decennial data, but for other types of data that I'm showing you here, like age cohorts, for instance, we go back to more current data starting in 2024. So as you can see, as Kevin pointed out earlier, a lot of the structures that were built were in between the 40s all the way up to 1959, about 65%. And then you've had a steady increase between 10 and 5% up into the year about 2015 to 2020. Talked about the population really had that explosion right around the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and then there's been a decrease over the last couple decades. As for labor force, retail is the #1 employer within the borough, followed by construction, and then transportation, warehousing, and utilities. And then the other thing is commuting distance. So the average is about 26 miles that person travels per day to their job. However, the thing
Are we gonna get to 2025, 2026? We have to. How many jobs?
So I'm going to reiterate why we're here tonight. This is our special meeting for the master plan, and I'm going to ask you to please not shout out because this is being recorded for the residents who can't be here tonight. This is very important to the residents in the borough of Kenilworth. This has been in the making for quite some time, so we would ask some respect for the people who can't be here. So excuse me. So what we're here for tonight is the master plan. We also told you that after this master plan, and we discussed this, this will be open to the public for everything that you'd like to say about the master plan. So please. So you want to just continue talking and be someone, so you just want to continue to talk.
And that's what they want.
So we're here for the master plan.
For 2025, 2026.
So we're going to get our business done,
We
and
don't need 1940.
we are going to get our business done, and we will allow you the public to speak. So please be patient. Don't we want to be respectful to the other residents in our town? Thank you. We want to be respectful to the other residents in town, so please be patient. They worked on this very hard. So we are going to get through this. We're going to get through this, and then you'll have your time to speak. The public will have time to speak. But let's be respectful to all the residents. Thank you very much. And we are recording this, so please, the other residents want to hear what's going on as well.
Not 1940, they don't.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. That's very good, but we need to move on.
Thank you very much.
We need to move on.
Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the master plan is a document that reflects the borough, the history of the borough, the trends of the borough, and the trends that reflect what's going on today. Mr. Bradford next to me is going to go over a few more of the tables that are in the master plan that reflect not only the past, but the trends from the past that go to today.
Thank you.
So one trend today is traffic, right? Congestion. That's not what we saw with Kenilworth. It's less than 10 miles for commuting. That's a significant factor that we definitely wanted to show here in the master plan. In terms of redevelopment, we talked about Galloping Hill, which is now the Galloping Hill Technology Center. In terms of zoning, and we also wanted to include a series of tables that spelled out exactly what's occurring in the borough in terms of housing, population, age, residents born or here within the United States, education status, median income, and also back to driving. Vehicles are the #1 way that people get around the borough and then also travel to their jobs, and other destinations.
Mr. Chairman, all this data is reflected in the master plan, which, as the land use law specifies, is supposed to reflect the information available to the board to make informed decisions about the future of the borough. Mr. Chairman, in addition to those goals and objectives that are in the land use element, the master plan did an overhaul of all of the various elements that were part of the original master plan, and that included the circulation elements, the economic element, which we've just gone through with the data tables, climate, community facilities, conservation, historic preservation, recreation, recycling, sustainability, and utilities. And all that information. Mr. Chairman, that reflects what the current master plan, proposed master plan is. Mr. Chairman, as part of our outreach, we did reach out to various departments within the borough, and that included the police department, fire department through Chief Sidari, was represented at our master plan committee meetings and had enormous input as to community facilities and emergency services. We reached out to Recreation, Department of Public Works, as well as the borough historian, Dr. Walter Boatwright, who's also a former mayor of this community. We did receive some late input from a few people. Deadlines have been given, but in the interest of hearing from as many folks as we could, particularly with borough expertise, we did get some input as recently as this morning. So I prepared an addition to the master plan that with an addition which should the board members consider. This was emailed to you earlier this afternoon. This includes the history of the...
I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, please, this is being recorded, and if we can't hear it on the microphones, then the other residents in the borough of Kenilworth can't get out of the master plan special meeting what they need to. And the longer we stop, the longer we delay is not helpful. We need to get through this. It's required by law, and we have to get this done. So please, be patient. You'll have your turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Boatwright, former mayor, did prepare this brief history of Kenilworth. We propose adding this to the historic preservation element as part of the body of that element. And then drop down. Dr. Boatwright sent a number of photographs, which if the board is comfortable with, we can include as appendices to the historic preservation elements of the master plan. Mapping of the original New Orange, which this community was known in the 1890s, started by a group of investors, became the borough of Kenilworth, 1907. So this shows a number of historic photographs, and also drops down to Dr. Boatwright's pictures of current buildings in the community that are still existing, and go back to, that date back to historic times. There we go. 5 old houses still standing, and they certainly reflect the history of the borough. So that is the first addition that the board may wish to consider. The second addition is from Recreation Department. Pull that up now. The Recreation Department, because this...
Kevin, just hold on. We'll have to wait.
Yes, sir. Recreation Department was a little late in the game, but they're a busy bunch of folks, so we do welcome their input. I did get this morning, And what they did was they sent a track changes document from the original elements that we've been working from. Yeah. Back up. So the things that are highlighted, Kristen Boyle, our Recreation Department Director, has given comments on. The board is comfortable with her comments, which in my review turned to be factual based upon Recreation Department current uses and needs. Should the board be comfortable with those? We can incorporate those into the recreation elements as they are without having any kind of appendix. The last addition are photographs. Yep. These are photographs of various community landmarks. They have not been edited well because we had to wait for a sunny day, which has not been cooperating these last several weeks, and we wanted to make them very fresh. So photographs that would be cropped and edited would be also be included in the master plan document should the board approve of these photographs. So I say they have been sent to you. There's Ms. Lydia. Okay. Chairman, that is what we have for you this evening. And welcome questions from the board or as you wish to proceed.
Mr. Mazzio, so on the proposed additions,
Yes.
what would be the process to get them inserted if we want to put them in? Can
Should-
you pick and choose?
Yeah. It's your document, Mr. Mazzio. Should you wish to include them in the document, Adam and I will put them into the final consolidated document, which will be sent out for your final approval to make sure we've done it all right. If you pick and choose and you don't want a certain thing, that's up to you. It's a vote of the board. It's your document.
But does it have to happen tonight, or do we have to meet?
Yeah, no, I would think that we should make a decision tonight if we want to.
Mr. Chairman, my part, David, some of the photos are like not great. I mean, it can be,
The photographs need to be cropped and edited.
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you vote on it tonight, it's not going to stay like that. It's
Absolutely
still
not.
cropped and edited. Okay, thank you.
Yes, they would be cropped and edited. So long as the board is content with leaving the subject body as the photograph. They're dealing with a lot of last minute submissions and I wasn't able to get it.
Anyone else from the board? We could come back to Kevin later, if we like, but for now, does anyone have anything else for Kevin and Adam at this point? Does that conclude what you have?
Thank you, Chair.
Kevin, I just have two questions for you. Being our planner here for 30 some odd years, I think it was, right? Every application, even tonight with the master plan, special meetings, it always has to be noticed. Am I correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay. And the notices were sent out?
Correct.
Okay.
I
And
do know our
final
counsel
notices-
is here who can correct any statement I make.
Okay. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That concludes what you have for this segment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we need a key to pull this back up?
Do you need anything?
I do not. If you wish to have the map, it's up to you.
I would leave it in case members of the public have specific questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. It's time to put the light on. Okay. So everybody just heard what went on here with the master plan and what they did and how they got to that point. And now this segment is basically, someone needs to make a motion to approve. So moved by Mr. David. Seconded by Mr. Clemente, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so at this portion, anyone wishing to speak about the master plan, what you just heard, is eligible to come up. Please state your name, your address clearly for the record. And spell it if you have to. We can. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, what did you say? Yeah, we stated that we have 3 minutes and a 10 o'clock curfew. Thank you.
I wrote out what I was going to say, so hopefully I keep it brief. My name is Danielle Palmy. I live at 25 North 6th Street, resident of Kenilworth my whole life. So before I begin, the statement that I'm going to start is going to actually go past 3 minutes, but several Kenilworth residents have prepared this as a continuous piece, and they're going to yield their time at the microphone to complete it. The final speaker is actually going to give you guys the questions that we have about the master plan on the record. I would really appreciate for you to receive this as one statement and the questions that follow, and allow each speaker their full 3 minutes. Tonight, this hearing is on the 2026 master plan, and under the New Jersey statute annotated section 4055D-28, which is part of the municipal land use law, the land use plan element of the master plan must, and I'm quoting the statute, show the existing and proposed location, extent, and intensity of development of land to be used in the future. Section 5 of this land use plan element in front of the board tonight describes the IN Innovation Zone, which covers the Galloping Hill Technology Campus. It describes the zone as carrying forward the prior office research district with uses including manufacturing, warehousing, laboratories, modern flex, research development, office components. It refers in general terms to campus scale reinvestment and evolving research, light manufacturing, and office space activities. What the land use plan element does not describe is the actual extent and intensity of the development that is approved and under construction in that zone right now. A 280,000 square foot building converted to a 24/7 industrial energy use, 250 megawatts of electrical load, 50,000 square foot exterior chiller yard, 31 diesel generators on concrete pads. None of that appears in the land use plan element, none of it appears in the climate change vulnerability assessment, and none of that appears in the utility plan element. Now, the statute doesn't require that you name specific applicants in this, but it does require that the land use plan element describe the extent and intensity of this development. The largest single industrial land use ever approved in this borough is not described in extent or intensity anywhere in the document that we're hearing tonight. These next speakers are going to walk the board through our record of what the public would expect a master plan of this scale to address, meaning what the borough engineer wrote a week before the Coral Reef site plan was approved, the geotechnical report the site says about flood risk and environmental sampling, and what the borough planner wrote about the subdivision that created the data center. And all of this has a point to tie together what the residents have obtained regarding our Open Public Records Act. So each of these facts is going to tie directly to the master plan. Because the master plan is to tell the public across its land use, utilities, sustainability, and climate elements, these matters will be addressed through site plan and subdivision review. This is what the public has a right to know, what those reviews have actually looked like to date. I yield my time to the next speaker.
Okay. My name's Christine Giordano. I live in Kenilworth. I just want to bring up with this master plan discussion that you did, you really didn't give us much insight of what's going where in the future. You gave a lot of historical. That's my opinion. Okay. As far as the approval of the AI site, that was done on May 15, 2025. At that meeting on the video, there was discussion by them about the future expansion and what their attraction was to that land. That's not me, that had to be her, she must have had time. Okay, so Coral Reef had an interest in that property because of future plans of even more development. Is the borough have any intention of preventing any further development on that land? Or is that just going to pass by? Because it seems that Monroe, Sussex, and New Brunswick were able to stop the AI development, which ours is already passed on because it was approved and they're already doing construction. So if there was discussion at that meeting about future expansion, are you guys looking at putting some laws into place where they can't do that. Any response on that?
We're not going to respond to your questions until everyone is done. It's going to be repetitious. Your questions are valid, and what we'll do is we're jotting things down. We'll have our planner reference that. Otherwise, you won't be able to meet your
Okay, because
purpose.
even the governor's voicing concerns about these AI going up. My second thing is, I thought when you were talking about the boulevard in Michigan being one of the most busiest streets, areas, intersection in Union County. The word is that the Dunkin' Donuts wants to put a driveway there. So would the board be considering approving that, knowing that it's the busiest? Because that's my concern when I heard about it. It's an accident waiting to happen.
The Dunkin' Donuts already has 2 driveways.
No, a drive-through. Did I?
You should drive in.
A drive-through.
That would be an application for development.
Yeah, well, I just hope
So
that
what
that
we're talking about this
application
evening
is
now?
not approved.
What we're talking about this evening now is a master plan, which is a vision for the borough and its future. You may be talking about a development application, which is something we can't talk about outside of the
I know,
development
but I'm bringing it
application.
up because you brought up about the intersection being so busy, so I hope they're cognizant of the fact that that's a bad intersection to begin with, and a drive-through. I don't care if they buy, I know they're looking to buy those businesses there. It should not be approved by the planning board. So, okay, thank you.
The timer's not working, Captain. Could you just give us a moment, please? Thank you.
Is there a button on the side?
Thank
Good
you.
evening, everyone. Thanks again for your time. My name is Imani Nia Burton. I live at 48 Hill Street, Bloomfield, New Jersey. I am the Environmental Justice Director for Climate Revolution Action Network. It's Bloomfield, New Jersey. Climate Revolution Action Network is a youth-led climate justice organization. Our focus is on preserving as much land in New Jersey as possible and making sure that our generation and future generations can enjoy the Garden State. I'm here tonight because ultimately I grew up in the area around here. I was from a town over. I went to elementary school around here, and I have family and friends that still live here. And so this is still my home. And I heard tonight you all highlight the importance of your master plan, really promoting resiliency and sustainability for Kenilworth in the borough. You all were really focused on economic growth in the borough, and you all are focused on maintaining the character of the borough. However, I've also heard that you've approved the development of an AI data center, which we all know, and I would hope that you all have been paying attention to the news as well, that the development of AI data centers across the country have been destroying and exploiting and extracting information. We're talking about sustainability and resiliency against climate change. New Jersey is in a drought right now. We're not abnormally dry. We are in a drought warning. The governor has issued a statement asking people to voluntarily conserve water. We know AI data centers extract a lot of water. What is that? If your goal is resiliency and sustainability, what is an AI data center in the face of a drought? You also talked about resiliency and sustainability. Electricity. We all are feeling the brunt of the increase in electricity bills in New Jersey.
Yes.
This AI data center is absolutely going to increase the cost of electricity for neighbors in Kenilworth. Again, what do you have to say to that in the face of approving this AI data center? You talked about the character of Kenilworth. You talked about the history of Kenilworth. You showed a beautiful town that has history, that has people who have lived here for many years, who have built community here. What exactly is that AI data center going to do to contribute to that?
Exactly.
My understanding is that these AI data centers come and they employ a handful of people. How is that going to help your township? Ultimately, I'm here not to change your mind, but to make sure you understand there's a room full of people and a state of people who are not interested in AI data centers. If you can change your mind, I will hope you will.
So Lisa.
Good evening, my name is Adam Tomasic. I live in 531 Washington Ave, and I'm continuing the statement that Danielle has started. The draft master plan in front of the board tonight defers. That's good. The draft master plan in front of the board tonight defers operational standards on the data center site to site plan and subdivision review. The special language matters. In the land use plan element, section 5, the in-innovation district description states, and I quote, the in-zone allows manufacturing, warehouse, laboratories, and modern flex/R&D and related office components, with strengthened performance standards including noise, odor, lighting, and hours of operation to ensure compatibility with nearby homes, end quote. Early in the same element, the section on industrial and innovation district states, and I quote, performance standards shall regulate operational impacts where these areas abut residential neighborhoods. Standards shall address truck circulation routing, buffering at residential property lines, and environmental controls related to noise, lighting, and emissions, end quote. Other elements use the same structure. The utilities plan element says the planning board's role is, and I quote, consideration of infrastructure coordination and capacity considerations during site plan and subdivision review, end quote. The sustainability plan element says the board's role is, and I quote, considering applicable requirements and coordination topics during land use review, end quote. The master plan tells the public that the protections in its element will be delivered through the site plan review. The record of the site plan review for the CoreWeave data center is what I want to read into the record now. On May 8, 2025, Victor Venegra, the Municipal Planning Board engineer at Harbor Consultants, wrote a 6-page engineering review letter addressing to the chairman and members of the planning board. The letter was written exactly 1 week before the CoreWeave site plan was approved on May 15, 2025. That letter identified more than 30 separate technical deficiencies in the application. I will read in representative sample. On the geotechnical investigation, the engineer wrote, and I quote, the drainage report indicated that a geotechnical investigation is pending. However, table 5.7 and 5.8 show a groundwater elevation of 74.95. How was the groundwater elevation obtained? A soil investigation that includes an elevation of the SHWT and percolation rate should be submitted, end quote. On the existing draining system, quote, the label of the storm manhole located near the northeast corner of the building Nest 01 indicates that the drainage site is silted. The existing draining system should be CCTV inspected in order to elevate the draining system's health and identity and identify any potential blockage or other problems, end quote. If you could just give me 1 more minute, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Could you yield to someone else, please?
I yield my time, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everyone hear me? My name is Tiffany Haltom. I'm at 2 Herbert Road in Scotch Plains. I'm continuing with the chain. The climate vulnerability assessment and the report it does not cite. The master plan being heard tonight includes a climate change related hazard vulnerability assessment. This element is required by New Jersey law. It identifies flooding as the borough's primary climate change hazard, extreme heat, electrical load stress, power service disruptions. The master plan also tells the public that the environmental coordination on the Galloping Hill Technology Campus will be handled through site plan review. 3 days before the CoreWeave data center was approved on May 15, 2025, Langen Engineering finalized a 31-page geotechnical engineering study of the data center site. The report was prepared for the applicant's architect, not for the borough. I want to read into the report 3 findings from that report. First, on environmental investigation, the report states, and I quote, No environmental investigation or sampling was performed as part of this work. No environmental study. The site is the former Schering-Plough World Headquarters, later operated by Merck Pharmaceutical. The geotechnical report on the data center site says, in plain English, that no environmental investigation was performed. The master plan being heard tonight tells the public that environmental coordination on this campus happens through site plan review. Second, on flood exposure, the report states, and I quote, a portion of the development area located within the western portion of the site development area lines within a 100-year flood zone. Part of the data center development area sits in the FEMA 100-year flood zone. The climate vulnerability assessment in the master plan tonight identifies flooding as the borough's #1 hazard. The land use plan element discusses directing development away from the areas with high exposure for flooding risk. Master plan here tonight does not address this site. Third, on the soil survey on which the geotechnical analysis rested, the report cites USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service soil survey for Essex County, New Jersey. This site is in Union County, Union County, not Essex County. Every page header of the report correctly identifies the location as Union County. The soil survey citation on page 4 cites the wrong county. The geotechnical report supporting the largest industrial approval in borough history was finalized 3 days before the vote, performed no environmental sampling, identified a portion of a site in a flood zone, and cited the soil survey for the wrong county.
Hi, good evening. My name is Serena Argentieri.
You want to wait a second so we can reset you? Oh, you reset? I'm sorry.
My name is Serena Argentieri. I live on Passaic Ave here in Kenilworth, and I'm just continuing the statement. Section 5 of the Land Use Plan element says that zoning ordinances must be substantially consistent with the adopted master plan, including the Land Use Plan element, and that any departures must be explained. The borough planner who authorized portions of this master plan, Kevin O'Brien, also provided the planning reports for the subdivision, the substation, and the data center applications. I want to read into the record what those planning reports said. On February 10, 2025, Kevin O'Brien wrote the planning report on the proposed minor subdivision of Block 181, Lot 101. That subdivision split a 107-acre parcel into a 71-acre parcel and a 36-acre parcel. The 36-acre parcel is the one core we've later acquired. The borough planner's words about the proposed subdivision line, quote, the proposed subdivision line is likely among the most bizarre I have seen in 39 years of planning. Please explain the reason for the shape of the subdivision. Among the most bizarre he has seen in 39 years of planning. Those are the borough planner's words. That subdivision was approved on February 27, 2025, 17 days later. The same planning report also flagged this, quote, the proposed subdivision line splits parking lots and prevents access to proposed Lot A. How does one access both properties if the subdivision is approved? How will parking be assigned? The applicant's project narrative submitted to the board explained the purpose of the subdivision. I quote in full. The purpose of the subdivision is not only to create two conforming parcels, but also to allow the parcels, specifically proposed Lot A, to be in a better position for financing for future development consistent with the redevelopment plan that governs the property. Now I want to turn what the planning report said about the master plan when the data center was approved in May 2025. The data center planning report by Kevin O'Brien is dated May 12, 2025, 3 days before the May 15th hearing. It is 4 pages long. Section 5 of that report is titled Master Plan. That section reads in its entirety as follows. I am reading every word. Quote, the 2011 Borough Master Plan lists a number of goals. Several are listed below. E, infrastructure. 1, continue to improve the borough's infrastructure to better serve present and future residents and the business community. The board shall consider whether the present application is compatible with these passages from the master plan. That is the entire master plan section of the board had in front of it when the largest land use decision in borough history was made. 1 paragraph, 1 sentence of substance from the 2011 master plan.
That's disgusting.
Thank you very much.
Okay, my name is Tin Udovicic. I'm from 190 Morris Ave, Springfield. I am continuing the statement. On April 23, 2026, residents filed an Open Public Records Act request, designated Oprah request number 2026-168, for documents related to this project. We asked for communications between the borough and CoreWeave. We asked for the agreements and financial incentives. We asked for environmental infrastructure and impact studies. We asked for the planning board application materials. We asked for internal memoranda and briefings prepared for the council or board. The borough's response told us our request was, and I quote, not reasonably specific, end quote, that it was, and I quote, overly broad and unclear, end quote, that Oprah does not require, and I quote, open-ended searches, end quote. We narrowed, we resubmitted, we followed up. On request number 5, internal memoranda or briefings prepared for council or board members regarding this project, the borough's response in full was, and I quote, after conducting a diligent search for records responsive to your request, the borough of Kenilworth found no records responsive to your request, end quote. 0 internal memoranda, 0 briefings for a $1.8 billion project that has never been before the borough since 2024. The master plan being heard tonight rests on a process. That process is described in element after element as one in which site plan review, subdivision review, and interagency coordination protect public health, safety, and welfare. The previous speaker walked the board through what the process produced on the largest project in borough history. A 4-page planning report citing one sentence of the 2011 master plan. An engineering review identifying more than 30 unresolved deficiencies a week before approval. A geotechnical report finalized 3 days before approval, citing the wrong county soil survey, performing no environmental sampling, and placing part of the site in the 100-year flood zone, a subdivision of the borough planner called Bizarre. And in the Oprah request, 0 responsive internal documents. What are we asking tonight? We understand that the master plan adopted tonight will not change what has already been approved, which I don't know if it has been approved. In the last planning board meeting, you said CoreWeave didn't even send an application. I'm so confused about that. No, there it is. They actually said that. Sorry to deviate. We are asking the board tonight. Okay, that's fine.
Hi, hello. I think you know me now. My name's Christine. I live in the borough of Kenilworth. I'm continuing the statement begun by the previous speakers.
Christine, can you state your address, please?
Oh, yes, 368 Coolidge Drive.
3 what?
368 Coolidge Drive.
Thank you very much.
Yes. They have presented the documentary record. That was for, keeping it on video. I'm here to place a series of questions on the record about the master plan being heard tonight. I'm not asking for these answers tonight. I am asking the board to enter them into the record, commit to answer them in writing before this master plan is adopted. Okay? So, in the zoning framework section, land use plan element, most of this is going to be the land use plan element. Not all of it, but most of it. The IN Innovation District description states that the zone supports campus-scale reinvestment, coordinated site planning on large tracts, including implementation of the borough's adopted 2025 Galloping Hill Technology Campus redevelopment plan, with buffering, track routing, and environmental safeguards embedded in the ordinance. Which ordinance is being referenced? Where can we see it? Is the public able to review it? That is the big question. Which ordinance is being referenced? If the ordinance has not yet been adopted, on what basis does the master plan assert that the safeguards are already embedded in it? In the land use objectives, the master plan states, the redevelopment should advance the form, intensity, public realm, and resilience policies described in sections 9 to 10, and be consistent with the climate change policies in the CCVA. Well, in the planning strategies of the CCVA, the Climate Change Vulnerabilities Assessment, it says it, and I quote, does not establish regulatory standards, project commitments, funding obligations, or implementation schedules. So, I ask, what are the policies being referenced in the CCVA in that land use element? Everybody following so far? Okay. What else? The land use plan elements references the resilience overlay zone intended to address flood risk and climate hazards with implementation anticipated to occur through subsequent zoning ordinance action. When is the resilience overlay zone anticipated to be adopted? And what does the master plan require for sites already approved within the 100-year flood zone in the interim?
Thank you.
My name is Owen Usinowitz. I live just down the road in Cranford on Casino Avenue.
I'm sorry, sir. I couldn't.
My name is Owen Usinowitz. I live just down the road on Casino Avenue in Cranford.
What's your address, please?
418.
And you can stop laughing and pay attention. That'd be great.
So I'm just going to talk over because you're wasting my time anyway. I live closer to Kenilworth than I do to downtown Cranford. I'm here all the time. I love this town. I truly do. But every day I go down the boulevard or I go to any store I like and I see empty shops that deteriorate more and more. And I see you continue to move forward with this plan despite months of public backlash, both online and in person. And I'm supposed to believe you care? That's laughable. You don't give a shit about this town. All this is going to do is raise our prices and drive people out. The demographic that you said was the largest, 55 plus, look who's here tonight. They don't want this either. Nobody does. Only you. Thank you.
My name is Francine Ravioli. I live at 443 Lincoln Avenue in Union. And I'm wondering what the board has done to reach out to other communities that are being affected by all of this. My streets are being ripped up for whatever piping or waterways are being used for this at the facility. And I want to know how you have contacted Cranford, Union, Springfield, and all the neighboring and all of the communities that are going to be affected by this. I have a picture here of the spewing of smoke that comes from these facilities. And I understand that there's a constant hum that I live 2 blocks from this facility. I'm going to hear 24/7. I want to know how you have contacted the neighboring communities, and if you have, because they are being affected just as much.
Services with the building department, they don't know.
They don't know anything.
Answer our questions. You're not even writing anything down.
We explain. Actually, you're using this woman's time. I will tell you that we are writing things down. We are taking into consideration what you're talking about, and we are hearing her quite well. You don't have to scream over her. She's doing a good job on her own.
Well, that's my question. I really want to know how me, as a person that lives 2 blocks from there, is going to be affected, and I don't have a say in it because I don't live in Kenilworth. I want to know how I can have a say.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Victor Gomes. I reside in Union, New Jersey.
I'm here to speak regarding the Core Weave AI
Can I have
data
your
center.
address, sir?
565 South Master Parkway.
Thank you.
My comments and questions tonight directly relate to foreseeable impacts, public welfare, and whether this board has exercised or will exercise adequate due diligence on this project. Across the country, communities are now experiencing serious impacts from large-scale AI data centers after being assured beforehand that impacts would be minimal. For example, in Fayette County, Georgia, residents reported how low water pressure was affecting them and were asked to restrict water use. Officials later revealed that this was the result of an AI data center nearby consuming approximately 29 million gallons of water over the course of just a few months, including usage that was not properly tracked or disclosed in local reporting systems. The Environmental and Energy Study Institute has documented increasing complaints of persistent industrial noise from AI data center cooling systems and backup generators, including low-frequency noise that is not within the scope of most current local ordinances. And just this week, Monitoring Analytics, the independent watchdog for PJM Interconnection Grid, which covers New Jersey, reported wholesale electricity prices have nearly doubled over the course of a year, with AI data center demand identified as a primary driver. I'm going to repeat that. AI data center was identified as a primary driver. The report warns that construction of additional AI centers will lead to persistent higher capacity costs for consumers across the region. These are not hypothetical concerns. These are documented impacts already occurring in comparable jurisdictions. So I have several questions I want to put on the record. I ask that you provide a simple yes or no answer. If you cannot provide one at this time, I will note that for the record and move on to the next question. First, have all required permits, applications, and approvals been properly submitted and granted to legalize or to legally authorize CoreWeave's construction of this AI data center? I will note for the record that the board did not provide an answer. Second, has the borough or this board obtained any independent third-party analysis? Independent meaning not submitted, funded, or controlled by anyone associated with CoreWeave or the AI industry, evaluating grid impacts, resident energy costs, water demand, diesel emissions, long-term noise, or cumulative infrastructure strain. I will note for the record, the board did not provide an answer. If such studies or analysis exist, will you be releasing them to the public before this project advances further?
Wow.
I will know that the board did not provide an answer. If no such independent analysis exists, can the board confirm that it is proceeding without independent third-party evidence showing that similar impacts seen in other communities will not occur here or are not expected to occur here? I will note that the board did not provide an answer to the final question. Thank you.
Give me 1 second. I just want to clarify for the record, for everyone here. I understand that tensions are high, that there's a lot going on in this community that I, as an unfamiliar face, am not privy to. But I just want to make it clear that what's happening tonight is about the master plan. This board cannot comment on a prior application that has been approved based on what you've all said back in May.
It's apropos to the master. They're
It's-
accountable for this.
That, whatever, we're hearing you, we're listening, your board is reacting, we'll take care of it. But what I'm saying here tonight, what is happening at this special meeting tonight is about the master plan document, which is properly. It's not even involved in the master plan. No. That's the redevelopment plan that's being referenced, the actual, whatever is going on with the site plan application process. Is that right? Pardon?
So this master plan doesn't have to do with the initial signatures that were approved by this planning board?
It's fine.
Yes, this is planning board, so anything approved by planning board previously should be an easy answer, correct?
This is not the time for those comments.
When is
I'm at the planning board.
Yeah. So I have to ask again to create some order, and I thank the attorney for trying to address this. But I would like to continue. I would like to continue with the public portion of this meeting, and only one person speak at a time for fairness to all of you out there that you have very important topics. So what we'll do is,
The comment that was just made is disgusting.
I didn't hear that. Okay.
Yeah, well, I've lived here for my entire life.
All right, we're wasting, if we're all talking again, we're wasting a lot of time. That is precious time. Did we start this lady's time?
Don't interrupt the talk.
Okay, we don't want to interrupt you, so please go ahead.
I'm just gonna start speaking.
Can I have your name and address, please? I didn't hear you.
My name is Catherine. I was about to give my name. I'm from Bordentown, New Jersey, and I'm here because data centers are obviously bad, whether you want to be clear with your community or not that one is potentially being built here. Please raise your hand in this room, and I hope you all do too, if you are aware that data centers create toxic pollution. Please keep your hand raised if you're aware that toxic pollution is poisonous to people. Toxic pollution is poisonous, and that's what data centers create. So if you sell out this community to a data center, you are therefore, in fact, poisoning these people. Shame on all of you that we even have to be here at all. New Jersey has been swallowed by these things already, and you're going to let your community get wrapped up into it too? You're going to hurt all these innocent people to get a little bit more money? Really? Have some self-respect. Do the right thing. Do not let this piece of land become a data center. You got people in here yelling. I swear, if this goes through and you really do poison these people, you should all be in jail, let alone lose your jobs. For sure. For sure. That is a fact. Toxic pollution is poisonous. And it comes in many forms from the data centers. You've got all kinds of pollution, and it doesn't just impact us, it impacts the entire environment around us and the entire world, because that's how it works. We're in a climate crisis right now. Probably not aware of that, drinking out of your plastic water bottles. I had to tell the freaking city council people the same thing. We're in a climate crisis, people, and you're here making environmental decisions for all of us. You better wise up right now, have some respect for your people, and do the right thing. Please, don't poison us. Thank you.
Brian's against you.
Am I starting?
Your name and
Okay,
address,
Jordan
please.
Pano, PANNO, Union County, New Jersey.
Can I have your address, please?
No.
Well, then, that's against the municipal land use.
council meeting either, so don't have to.
123 Blossom Street, Cranford, New Jersey. So, as my time started, okay, there we go. So I first want to note that there was no post on the bulletin of a May 19th meeting. I've been here multiple times this week due to an open request for police body camera footage after a stop I encountered. With that being said, if it could be answered to me, is a redevelopment agreement being used interchangeably here for a master plan? No. Okay. So we have May 15th was the approval. I believe it was 25-004 through CoreWeave from the planning board. And I see a 120-day deadline for a redevelopment agreement with a 60-day discretion of the mayor, I guess, extension on top of that. So if we go off of that, this redevelopment agreement that is needed, which once again has not really had much mention, was due by November 11th of 2026. Today's May 19th? Yeah, I think we're past that. The mayor, unfortunately, is not here. I thought she would have attended. So I do have copies for everybody of public record, because elected officials' conversation under public record, everybody has the right to know that. And I have received a multitude of messages from her personally with information that directly contradicts all public record. With that being said, for anybody interested that is not a Kenilworth resident of the concerns and how this will affect you, in Roselle, New Jersey, on Chestnut Street, they are upgrading the substation. They're going to be adding 67 kilovolts of power at the very least, with 70-foot poles for natural disasters, lightnings, things we can't control. So in 2022, PSC&G actually put in an incentive program through the state. That was basically that New Jersey just needs to improve their power for no good reason, but apparently we're just not sufficing. we're having too many power outages. I don't know, whatever the excuse was. The issue in that contract is that those funds are getting redistributed to the taxpayer in New Jersey, period. So that will affect you, no matter where you're coming from. And that's being estimated just alone in Roselle at about $200 million. So since nobody will give answers here about how this is going to affect other communities, I guess I had to. Thank you.
Hello, I'm from Union. You're probably not going to respect that. I am your neighbor. Have you seen what you've done to your neighbor? Go to 5 Points. See those monstrous electric poles. I was trying to look at the moon last night, see the planet Venus, and all I see is poles. What have you done to our neighborhood? What kind of neighbor are you? It was so insulting to see this gentleman here start with jokes. You guys think this is a joke? You talked about the meetings, the hours that you spent. My children, our children, are going to spend lifetime in this neighborhood that you're destroying. You're destroying Roselle Park. You're destroying Union. You know, you're destroying Kenilworth. I don't understand. I was not impressed by this. I was not impressed. My 9th graders could have done a better job. Are you serious? I could have my 9th graders talk to you about doing a presentation and not offending people with jokes. You think this is a joke? We are scared. We are scared. We're not impressed with your master plan. How many times have I heard the word master? It's offensive. The word master, I don't know, I'm looking at you. It's offensive. I don't see young people up here representing these people. Look at you, you don't care. You don't care about our neighborhoods. You're supposed to represent the planning board of Kenilworth? This is it? Seriously. And I know that gentleman. He's very arrogant. Anytime there's not somebody from Kenilworth, we are your neighbor. You should care about your neighbors. Please go to 5 Points. See what they're doing to Union. It's horrible. My daughter texted me. She's like, Mom, what are they doing to Union? What are they doing to Kenilworth? I was not impressed by your presentation, and I'm going to keep on fighting. I'm going to fight for the children, My children rode their bikes in Union. It's a beautiful town. You have destroyed it. You have destroyed your neighbors. Property value. You keep telling your people the taxes, they won't pay as much taxes. They'll pay electric bills that will go sky high and their water bills, and you're ruining their neighborhood. You are ruining our neighborhoods.
Hello, my name is Peter Materna, and I own some property in Roselle Park. And my father operated a small business here in Kenilworth for about 40 years. And I have some numerical specific questions. So in discussions and presentation here, it was mentioned about the diesel generators that would be on the site of this proposed facility, 31 specifically diesel generators. And we should know what's the operating plan? Are these just very occasional backup diesel generators for when something unforeseen happens, or are they going to be operating a substantial amount of the time, putting their combustion products out into the local air? I'm sure somebody somewhere knows the answer, but we should know that. And then here is then it was mentioned also that the electric power demand from this proposed facility is.
Sir, I have to tell you that you're speaking about something else other than a master plan. If you want to tie your, statement, if you would like to tie your statement into the master plan, it's certainly you can continue how you do that. But you're speaking about something else. Okay, the gentleman can speak for himself like you all did.
Perhaps my second question is more direct to that. So the electrical demand has been described as 250 megawatts. That is the same thing numerically as 250,000 kilowatts. I'm an engineer. And if you're doing simple calculations about medium or smallish houses, you typically assume that the average daily power demand of a house is 1 kilowatt. So this power demand is the demand of 250,000 ordinary houses when this facility flips its switch on to demand its power. And given the numbers that were the historical, Kenilworth population and similar numbers that were quoted tonight, that power demand when you flip the switch on is somewhere between 10 and 100, probably really closer to 100 Kenilworths of power demand. So when that facility flips its switch on, that is a huge, huge power demand which impacts the local power grid, the power pricing structure, and there have been cancellations of offshore renewable power sources that won't help provide this massive power demand.
Yeah, hi, my name is Veronica Fernandez. I live at 157 Bartley Road in Long Valley, New Jersey, and I'm here to tell you something good about data centers. My family's in Andover, where there recently was a proposed data center, and in this time when our country is so polarized and people can't stand and even talk to each other, we brought together MAGA and Democratic Socialists of America to fight this, and we won. My 92-year-old father and my 85-year-old mother will not suffer the effects, and neither will my members of my family suffer the effects of the pollution and destruction that this will cause. While I was sitting here researching your own particular situation, you've hoodwinked your town and your surrounding areas. This never should have been passed, and there are petitions at change.org right now that you can sign to hold you accountable for how you process this and put this through. I mean, we have developers, these rich developers coming in and wreaking havoc in our state. First they polluted our urban areas, and now they're coming out into our suburban, our nice pristine bucolic areas, and they're wanting to build these data centers. And what I see here and what I've never seen in any master plan is how they're going to manage Superfund sites, because that's what you've done here. You've created a future Superfund site where we're going to be on the hook for paying for the cleanup of this disastrous mess financially, not to mention how it's going to affect us. So I don't like to be like this, but I got to say, in reading this, like, shame on you. Like, come on, this is not the right thing to do, and I don't know how they're going to stop it. What you can do also is you can really pressure the governor to issue a moratorium. There are ways around this to stop this as much as you can, but like, this was really very poor planning, and people are going to pay for this in many ways for years to come. I really feel bad about this.
Good evening. My name is Sol Atencio. I live in Union as well. I live the lady said that she lives like 2 blocks away from where the data center is going to be. I live 3 blocks away, down the street from Washington Elementary School. I consider your master plan an insult. I consider the entire planning an insult, because you want to insult people's intelligence, and you think we don't know what's happening. I don't want my children to grow up in an environment where we have noise pollution 24/7, where we have like environmental pollution, where when we open our water, it's going to start coming out dirty, like we have seen in Memphis, Tennessee, or the other Arizona, the other states where we're having all these issues. I have seen what's happening in Chestnut Street, like the lady mentioned too. It's crazy. Those long tall poles, like we were like, what the heck is that? And then it's done all like very quietly, and we're making fun of by some people who are supposed to be smart at what they do, when they actually and some people who are maybe falling asleep as we talk, and some people who are not even giving us eye contact, and some people that give us eye contact, but they have a smug on their face, or like a weird face, like what is she talking about? You know, because you're so disconnected. Like, where is your eye contact, and why do you have that look of like they're making no sense? But we are making sense because it's happening, and people are being hurt. Communities are being hurt. People are being forced to leave where they have grew up for they have decades and generations. Farmers have to like leave their entire properties because there is nothing else, and we don't want that. I don't want that for Kenilworth. I don't want that for our union, or Roselle, or anywhere else. But I think it's so shady how things, like it's so shady and so shameful how local officials, they just don't, like the disconnection is so like unlimited that just okay, let's just do the big master plan and let's just get on with this. And not being so like transparent about it. Let's hear the community and see what they think about it. There's nothing coming out of a data center. No jobs, no, there's nothing from a data center. Nothing positive.
My name is Jason Starita. I'm a Kenilworth resident, and I guess I just want to start off by saying that like I'm not the most intelligent person of all time, so like that's why I came here to learn more about what was happening in my backyard. You know, I only live about 0.5 miles from here, about a mile from where the data center is going to be, and I was really excited to come and see what the board had to present, and I got a Kenilworth history lesson. So it's a little disappointing to me that I came to learn from my planning board members and people who are associated with this project, and I had to learn from everybody in the front row what this project was about. So, again, thank you for making me do my homework and being more connected to my community, because I know that I have a lot to learn, because you guys are not going to teach me anything.
Hello, my name is Renee. I promise there's a point to the master plan, so please don't say master plan, master plan, master plan, all right? Thank you. So I had a wonderful time at the street fair. That was so beautiful, thank you. I actually I was passing out flyers, and one person I met, it was a very informative conversation. He said he supported what we were doing, handing out flyers and speaking up, and he also pointed out something that I didn't know. So OpenAI, we all know OpenAI, right? That is ChatGPT. Then we have Anthropic. Anthropic is what is Claude, right? So then we have this gentleman here who stepped down from a high up position. He is a doctor in his field in regards to AI risk. He put out a letter that said the world is in peril. That's why he stepped down. He cares. He's a genuine person. You can read that letter. It looks like this online. So one of the things he says, I arrived in San Francisco 2 years ago having wrapped up my PhD and wanting to contribute to AI safety. I feel lucky to have been able to contribute. How is his contribution done? There's still so much to do with these data centers popping up. It fell on deaf ears. Inside Anthropic, deaf ears. The same set of ears that I'm looking at, deaf ears. So also to say, this woman, Karen Howe, she wrote a book called The Empire of AI, and it talks about everything. She is a global journalist. She is a graduate of MIT. She wrote for Wall Street Journal and MIT. She talks about exactly what we're trying to educate you guys on, that there's huge concerns here, okay? Then we have this woman here who was fired from Google in 2020 regarding also AI risk and safety. Okay? Then we have a documentary that everybody can find online on YouTube. It's called AI Doc. And one of the things that they say in this documentary is that they have people coming from Anthropic and being interviewed. And one of the things that these AI risk management people say, they know that the youth is not going to make it to high school if AI rolls out the way it rolls out. This decision, this master plan, without you guys pausing or halting it, that's exactly what's going to happen. The youth today, you have 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, some kids that are being born today are not going to make it to high school. And with you guys supporting this, it's blood on your hands, respectfully. One more thing, there's a phone number, everybody get out your phone. 609-292-6000. That is the NJ governor's phone number. Call them, let them know your concerns about this AI data center. They do not take information, you just call them and tell them. You call them multiple times a day. That's all it is. And I also want to say, that little old man, Frank, trying to intimidate me, writing notes saying I was clapping this, that, whatever, walking up to Kathy saying, oh, Renee's here. Whoever he is, this is on file. Nobody here is going to be intimidated. Just so you know. No one is going to be intimidated.
Good evening.
Hi, Karen Leslie from Union. I'm not far across the street from the site. I have a question. Union shares services with you, correct? Building department? They do. Right, it's building department. I looked it up. It's building department. They do permits, they do inspections. I worked for Shearing, I worked for Merck. When we did buildings, we had permits. I used to do the checks for the permits. So, and now Union, when I went to their meeting, and we were asking about the data center, they knew nothing about it. How is that? How do they know nothing about a data center, but yet they're sending their employees to Kenilworth?
They're based here.
Excuse me?
Those employees come here and do their work.
But
That's a shared service.
believe me, Union is tight.
So
Union
those
is
are-
connected,
ma'am,
so they're speaking to
What
each other.
happens in Union happens in Union, what happens in Whatever. So this is a Kenilworth project. Why are you tearing up Union? I drove down this morning to go to work. It's a dust storm. A dust storm. 5 points? Disgusting. Disgusting. So if it's a Kenilworth project, move the poles to Kenilworth. Put them on your streets.
Yeah,
Put
put
them
'em on
on your
right
streets.
there.
Take down all your trees. They took down every tree on Chestnut Street. They took all down on by the site. It's ridiculous. How do you sleep at night? You have kids. You probably have kids, grandkids. You're going to allow this? You got your school, and we got Union School. I hope you sleep good at night. I hope you got paid big bucks for this shit.
Good evening. My name is Annette Diamandopoulos, and I am from Cranford. I just came from a Cranford meeting where data centers was on the agenda, and they have chosen to take it out of the ordinance. What I want to say is, in speaking with them, there's something that I understood very well in understanding data centers and what has happened here in Kenilworth and in other communities. And that's when Onyx and CoreWeave came, with their little pony show, nobody really knew the effects of data centers. I mean, really, most of this information has been coming out recently. As a matter of fact, it's rolling out, and we understand by everything that's happening now in the news and the different laws and ways officials are interacting, that they are becoming aware. And so I have to tell you, I understand that maybe a year ago, a year and a half ago, you were not aware that this really wasn't a closed loop system, that water would be contaminated, that equity firms are just about putting money in the pockets of others, and that manipulating a master plan is just about making their pockets bigger. But now you know. Now you know, and willful ignorance is not an excuse. It's not an excuse. And I want to remind you of something very calmly, because there is no more fear in me, and there is no more anger about the injustice of how this appears, because I'm sure that's not lost on any of you. This does not appear well. But please do not forget that just like you, these beautiful people, these human beings, want to be happy. And just like you, they want to be healthy. And just like you, they want to be loved. And just like you, they want to feel safe. And I'm sorry to say, there is nothing in your actions that you have done in the last month since this has become known that has made anyone feel safe. And that is something that you should never take away from a human being. So please consider that. We understand what you didn't know, but now you know. Thank you.
My name is Maya Smith. I'm a resident of Kenilworth. 2 weeks ago, I attended a town hall meeting where it was repeated several times by the mayor that this data center will use no water. No water at all. Can I just get a yes or no from the board? Like, do you guys agree with that statement?
What are you?
That the data center is going to use no water.
Well, I would like you to stick with the master plan.
So it was stated several times that due to it being a closed loop system, there was not going to be any water consumption. However, this is just simply not true, and I wanted to put numbers to that. Yes, a closed loop system does use less water. It uses 70% less water, but the average data center uses up to 5 million gallons of water a day. Even 30% of that is 1.5 million gallons of water, when the average home uses about 300 gallons of water a day. And as everybody else has said, I understand that there's been maybe some misinformation, or maybe you guys didn't know the impacts of how data centers affect us when this decision was made. But you have a full room here of people telling you guys the impact, and there are still things that we are able to do to prevent these things. And it just feels like we are being completely dismissed. It doesn't feel like we're being heard to be able to address these issues. And while the decision is made and the center is being built, there's still things that can be done in between in this situation. And I'm just really disappointed by my town. Thank you. That's all I have.
Hello. I'm just going to say I'm protected under Daniel's law. You don't need to know where my name is, where I'm from, what anything like that is. So anyone else in here is protected by Daniel's law. You don't have to give your name and address. Question first. Does it say in the agenda or the law of Kenilworth that a planning board meeting public hearing has to be on the topic of the master when that is the purpose of the meeting?
Could you repeat that?
Sure. During the meetings, in the law or in this particular agenda, does it say that the comments from the public have to be related to the topic at hand?
Yes.
Does it? Can you read that law for me?
I can't. I don't have it in front of me. It's a question. You have to be fair, but it does
I don't
say-
believe that was
Let's just say that.
Can the township attorney?
You asked the question. You asked the question. I gave you an answer. You didn't like the answer, but we'll
I
find
didn't say that I didn't like the
we'll
answer.
find
I'm
it
just
for you.
asking if you could read it for me.
I could tell you I didn't want to do the dialogue because it erupts, but I will find it for you.
Thank
I'll
you.
find it.
I appreciate that. Can the township attorney let me know?
I will find it for you.
Cool.
Okay?
And what then?
I'll have the board find
Thank
it.
you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And what specifically is related to the master plan and what specifically is not related to the master plan? Because if I came up here with a question about a fountain that I wanted to build in my town and needed permits for that, would that be in accordance with the master plan, or could I not bring that up? Because it seems like, to my ears and to the people behind me, the only thing that's not wanted to discuss right now is the AI data center.
Can I ask you a question, ma'am? That would be an application for development, which would have to be heard by a planning board or a zoning board, depending on the circumstances. It would not be a master plan item. It's a master plan.
But the master plan, as I understood.
Of course, ma'am. Master plans don't discuss specific applications for development.
But it did, on the master plan, we all saw it, had the zones of development that were on there. So they fall in accordance with the master plan.
As the council has pointed out, ma'am, an application for development has a hearing all its own that is noticed not only to people around, but to nearby towns. And everybody has an opportunity to talk at the hearing. Another hearing is not the time to talk about another application for development.
But this is still a public session. I'm allowed to ask questions.
Absolutely, and I'm answering them.
All right. Well, I am almost out of my time now. Not because I used up my time, but because the board used my time. So I want to give this quick video for you right here. Hopefully you can all hear it. This is from Vineland, New Jersey, not too far from here. This is what an AI data center sounds like. Obviously a bit muted because it's on my phone and a microphone. This is a mile away from a data center. This is going to cause insane noise pollution, air pollution, water pollution, all sorts of pollution that is not good for the residents of your town or Union or the entirety of North Jersey. Thank you.
Is his time?
Good
Are you
evening.
ready, sir?
I'm ready. My name is Don Farr. I'm a Union resident. I live about a half a mile from the backside of the site for this data center. And I've been doing my homework, trying to understand the process that you guys work with, like for developing a master plan and what your responsibilities are as part of that. And I came across some information established by the state for the municipal land use law, key responsibilities and duties, and it breaks down into various sections, but one that caught my eye, master plan updates and zoning ordinances, says you need to develop ordinances to meet current community needs. I believe the residents are part of the community that needs to be taken into consideration. The process, you review subdivisions, site plans, conditional use applications to ensure they meet municipal and county requirements. Sounds like what I heard tonight, that a very good job was not done of that. All right. Under research and community development, you need to evaluate the demographic, economic, and environmental data. Not certain if you guys did that in the overall interest of things, or when you're doing your master plan or otherwise. And then the fourth part of it is public outreach and advisory, public engagement and advisory, facilitating public focus groups and meetings to incorporate community feedback into long-term planning proposals, and providing technical support and assistance to understand what's going on. So I'm not walking away from here tonight feeling like you guys really followed through on all the responsibilities that you should have been. And then lastly, in general, for the town. I found an address that the mayor made first meeting of the year, welcoming everyone and acknowledging the past year was not without its challenges. I'm just going to read parts of this. But what defines our community is not the obstacles we face, it's how we respond to them. That spirit is our greatest strength. As we begin this new year, we do so with hope, determination, and a shared sense of purpose. Our goal is simple but meaningful: to ensure that our community remains a safe place where families feel safe, businesses can thrive, seniors are respected, and young people see opportunities ahead of them. In the year ahead, we will continue to focus on responsible I lost my spot here. Focus on responsible and stronger solutions and to come from the people we serve. While we may not always agree on every issue, we are united by something, a love for this community and a desire to see it succeed. When we work together with respect, honesty, and compassion, there's no limit to what we can accomplish.
Thank you, sir.
I hope something comes out of this, right? Positive for the community. These words tend to sound hollow to me right at the moment. I hope they can be fortified. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Are they gonna stop the clock?
Can you guys restart it?
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Tech issue.
Good.
Okay.
Are we ready?
So speaking of actually changing that, data centers have been increasing the price of memory chips and memory cards of all sorts for all of us. So that's important for recording something like this meeting. Just wanted to let you guys know in case you didn't know that information. The more data centers come around, the more expense that is for us for all electronics. Now, I was listening to the snooze fest of this planning board for like the past couple of meetings. And I do pay attention. As boring as it is, it's really boring. Please guys, like a slideshow, some like nice images. I love the pictures. The pictures are cute. But I really wish that you guys would put more emphasis on the important parts of the history instead of the boring parts, because you did bring up a good point of what this town is made out of. People with their businesses, and people of color, and women, and children. Those are the most important people of our society because they carry us. I can't go down the street in Kenilworth and get pizza no more once the data center comes in, because I know their business is going to close. And that's all I wanted to share. And I know you guys like the stuff and the businesses here because I saw the pictures up there. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tommy Simoes from Casino Avenue, Cranford. I'm not going to make any comments about the data center specific, but I would just like to thank everybody who came out tonight. This is my first time attending one of these meetings, and it was really an eye-opener. I've been reading some things about this whole issue, and yeah, it's like way more than I thought it would be. But besides, thank everybody for coming out. I want to remind everybody that there's a Kenilworth Township meeting here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. and I'm sure you'll all be welcome to come and give your comments there as well. So hopefully we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kate. I grew up in Union, right in 5 Points for over 30 years. Now I live in Springfield. This whole area has been my community and it continues to be. I didn't want to leave this area. My dad just spoke a few minutes ago, and I continue to still go to Union almost every day. my daughter, who's 3 years old, is now in Union every day. And I want to know how you would feel. Would you still want, I'm assuming your grandkids at this point, would you be okay with them being a quarter mile, half mile, right around this from happening? Again, maybe you didn't know before, but you do know now. Would you be okay with them growing up here? Because I'm not okay with it anymore. I chose to stay here, and now it's not okay. So years down the line, are you going to be okay with the decision that all of you made, how it's going to affect your children, your grandchildren? They're not going to grow up in this community anymore because they're going to tell you they don't want to live here. These are the choices that you made for them and for everybody else here. And your town, the nice little town that you have, is not going to exist anymore because of these decisions that you have made. So I hope that whenever you all realize this, that you are okay with doing this to this town, to Union, to Cranford. These are all nice towns. Springfield. This affects all these nice towns in this area. So I know you can't answer me now, but I hope when you answer later, you can say no. But I really doubt that that's going to happen. You should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Hi, my name is Emma, and thank you to the woman that came up before that mentioned Daniel's house. I wrote to my address. I am coming up here because a couple people. Oh, I'm sorry. A couple people already gave a statement that I'm going to be adding to. We understand that the master plan adopted tonight will not change what has already been approved. The data center is under construction. The protection period applies. What this master plan will change is what comes next on this campus. The April 28th, 2026 subdivision created 4 new lots on the Galloping Hill Technology campus. At least 3 more applications will come before this board. We are asking the board tonight to amend the master plan in 3 specific ways before voting to adopt it. First, that the land use plan element be amended to state that data centers shall not be a permitted principal use in any borough zoning district going forward. The borough has hosted the largest data center development in its history. We do not need another one. Second, that the land use plan element be amended to require that any expansion, intensification, or modification of the existing data center facility be treated as a use variance application requiring full notice, public hearing, and master plan consistency review. Third, that the land use plan element be amended to require that any future subdivision or site plan application on the 4 parcels created by the April 28th, 2026 subdivision be subject to the performance standards and resilience overlay this master plan describes before any approval issues. These are amendments the planning board can make tonight. They are within the board's authority under the municipal land use law. They do not require council action to take effect within the master plan. They protect the borough going forward while respecting the approvals that have already been issued. Thank you.
Thank
Hi. I just want to start off by saying I think there's some, opposition between you and us. I do think, though, I'm hoping that you would act in the best interest of the people here that are expressing their concerns because they're valid and they have a huge impact on their lives. So it's not to be taken lightly, okay? It's an insult to us when you do that. These are our lives, our children's lives, our neighborhoods, our communities, okay? So I am going to try and stick the best I can. My questions with regard to the master plan. So I read through it, and one of the points of the master plan being that the character and resiliency of the community should be maintained. I just don't understand how an AI data center does that for this town or the surrounding towns. I don't understand how it would build the community, help the community, or maintain the character or culture of this community. That's my first question, if you could address that. It's also supposed to incorporate climate change related to hazard vulnerability assessments. That includes earthquake, flood, heat waves, which were, stress to the cooling towers, chemical spills, infrastructure failure, fuel storage, battery, et cetera, et cetera. Has anything like that been studied? And are those studies available to us?
to see. Again, consistency with state climate resilience standards. So these have a lot to do with our climate and our environment. I think we've said that multiple times. How do utilities get infected? How does the air get infected? How does noise affected? How is the light pollution? That's another thing to think about. I've also heard like Kenilworth, like Mr. Gregg here said that he's lived in Kenilworth his whole life, and that Union is Union and Kenilworth is Kenilworth, right? But your own master plan says that any proposal should be in line with Union, Roselle Park, Cranford, and Springfield. That's what your master plan says. So Union is not Union. Kenilworth is not Kenilworth. We're all one community, and it's really concerning that you think just the people in Kenilworth are going to be affected. That makes me think you don't actually understand the scope of what a hyperscale data center will do, not only to here, but to the surrounding communities. Roselle and Cranford have already indicated they do not want this data center to be built. So they're right there's two other abutting towns that are going to be impacted. They're saying, please don't do this. All right. In your own master data plan, it says strengthening and buffering community or environmental standards. Have you conducted any of these studies to ensure that that is going to happen? Such as power and utility studies, the environmental impact study, which talks about the ecosystem, the land use, noise pollution, light pollution, electronic waste, waste from cooling systems, water usage and availability, health impact assessment, which is very important, calculating toxic air, pollutants, sediments, and it's supposed to meet required EPA and state departmental standards. Has any of that been done? Can we see that? That should be part of the Open Records Act, and we should have the chance to review it and have an independent review as well.
Thank you, ma'am. I think your time is up.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Just state, what we said before was about Union records being property of the township of Union, and the borough of Kenilworth's records being the property of the borough of Kenilworth. So you can't go to Union and see Kenilworth's records and vice versa. That was the only comment that was made.
So last meeting I was at, Mr. Pecorino, I don't know how to say your name, sorry, apologize. He yelled at one of the constituents out here, I have lived in Kenilworth, but you haven't. So there is a sense of that division amongst other residents of surrounding towns who come to speak. Also questioning, well, what town do you live in? And there was some back and forth about that last meeting. So I don't believe that what you're saying is actually true. I think there's an undercurrent and tone that you don't have the right to stand up here and speak if you don't live in Kenilworth proper. Which, again, makes me worried that you guys don't know the impact like a hyperscale data center will have, and it just doesn't impact Kenilworth. So, thanks.
My name is Robert Hopkins from Cranford, New Jersey. I live just down the road on Prospect. I had a question about the master plan and how it, I guess, looks over the next 10 or 15 years at investment in the community in terms of the population that you said 55 plus was growing, so investment in home properties is a strong importance. And people mentioned, I know Cranford tonight had a meeting about not, whether or not to allow data centers. And so I was wondering if the master plan addresses the potential issues that in the coming years Kenilworth will have a data center and other towns won't, and other people might not want to move here because of that. And utilities are going to be more expensive. People's values of their homes, are they going to stay the same? Does the master plan address that? I mean, I could go on Google Plus and ask people, but that's not around anymore. Because tech just flies by the night. Is this center going to be around in 10 years doing exactly what it said it's going to be doing? But I believe it was 1.5% of jobs is information in Kenilworth. It seemed to be big on retail, so is Kenilworth now a big tech hub? I mean, because it seems like it's...
Those are census data numbers, so they just represent what fields are
Right.
people are currently employed.
And so
Doesn't
I'm
extrapolate the future.
But so I'm wondering how the master plan reconciles that there's a large percentage of retail investment, not much technology. Now all of a sudden it's what, 1 point something billion into technology that's going to unknown quantities on housing investment. You know how people's values are going to be in 10 years, how the environment's going to be. We have floods already. We have issues there. I'm just curious if any thought's been given to the long-term possibilities of the negative effects on Kenilworth. And it's, you know, we saw the population graph going back to 1940. That was great. How's it going to look in 2036?
Hello again, Michelle Fagan, Kenilworth, New Jersey. I'm sorry you were offended by our comment, Greg, but we know that there must be a lot of money for every board to be going, oh, let's put this in. Can I ask about the climate resilience that you're adding in? How does this data center fit in with climate resilience when you just heard all the data? If you look online, you could see all the negative impacts of the environmental studies that are coming out on the ones that are already up and running. What is the benefit to this town by allowing this to be built here? It was obviously added in this last generation of the master plan. Why?
Because the state requires it.
The state requires it, and there was no pushback going, this is not an appropriate site for it.
No, the state requires climate change.
The resilience. But you specifically added the data center into the master plan. There's different categories and you added data center.
The technology campus. The fact that the data center lies within that property.
But you specifically call it data center in the master plan that I read at the last meeting.
We're trying to be very factual in my response because
it's listed in there somewhere. I didn't make it up.
Some of what you're saying is a comment, which is fine. That's for the board to consider. This master plan does not talk about any applications for development. Whatever is occurring at Galloping Hill, whatever's happening on Monroe, whatever's happening on Michigan, Boulevard, all of which have been subject to development applications over the years. So we can't talk about an application for development because we can't comment on that. We can recognize what the reality is.
You particularly recognized it as being an allowed consideration in the town planning. That took somebody's input to put that in there.
So you may be talking, again, I don't want to stray in the comments, you may be talking about a zoning ordinance, you may be talking about a redevelopment plan, which are different aspects of planning and zoning. A board can approve a redevelopment plan, can approve an application for development after proper public notice and after the public is given an opportunity to speak. The master plan does not address applications for development, does not address specific places. It is a concept plan for the entire boroughs to where we want to guide.
But it looks like we're guiding right into their back pockets. We could make the road any straighter. The road doesn't get any straighter.
I welcome your comment.
Thank you.
Just one more thing. Property values.
Sorry, ma'am, you can't go.
Nobody has said anything about property value. Your master plan has nothing about property value. This is going to be a ghost town. Everybody's going to leave. You will not be able to sell your house. You guys will pack and go to Florida. You're over there, some of you green. Your plan is to pack in 5 years and take off. Our children will be left here. Okay, what's the master plan for that? Property value is going to drop big time. Big time.
Thank you. Okay, no one else? Okay.
Make a motion to close to the public.
Motion made by Mr. Ladati.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mazzio. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, we're gonna start out by saying we thank the public for all your comments.
They're lying in your pockets. They're lying, calling you out.
Okay,
Bunch of liars.
we'll wait for them.
Everybody has to count for the big guy. Only go to the master plan, you guys. Looking at your heart.
Make a motion, take a 10-minute recess.
Motion made by Mr. David, second by Mr. Clemente, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we're taking a 10-minute recess. Soon needs to open there.
Make a motion to reopen the meeting.
Okay, motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Mazzio, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're back in session. And thank you for taking the time, and we thank the public for all the effort that you put forth to bring things to our attention.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to table the vote on the master plan this evening. So experts can go over some questions, legitimate questions pertaining to the master plan. And then they can add if necessary or revisions. If that means the committee has to meet one or two more times for the next month. It certainly won't be done by next week, but maybe by the June meeting. That's my motion.
Second, okay. Roll call?
Mr. Pisarno?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi?
Yes.
Mr. Maggio?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
And Mr. Concoli?
Yes.
Okay, moved. So, for the public, we heard you. You think we didn't, we heard you. We have to look at the master plan as what was presented here tonight to us. We heard everything else. I have, for those of you who think I was not writing, I have 3 pages of notes. From electric to spills to noise, trucking, logistics, everything that you said tonight I have in here somewhere on my paperwork. And that is for applications and things like that. What we have to do is ask our professionals to go back to the drawing board and take a look at how we could fine-tune, listen to what you said, what is correct, what is not correct, what we have maybe failed to do, or maybe what we can bring back to you and say, this is how we're going to do it. So, I think we've answered in bulk all of your questions by tabling this now and going back to the drawing board. I hope we've done our job properly, and it's Paserno, not Pecorino, that's the Romano cheese, and thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify, I'm not sure I like the term, we're going back to the drawing board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To me, that implies I'm going to redo months and months and years of effort that went into this. Having said that, Mr. Ladati's motion was specific to listening to the questions that were legitimate, that were related to the actual master plan as it's presented, and get you the answers to those questions before, and possibly we will modify things, but there's no promises made, and we will come back again on another date.
Yes, I mean, we can't do this, but please.
Can you specify which questions that you think were applicable to the master plan that you intend?
Anything that pertains to the master plan, every question that you've asked tonight about the master plan, all of us have taken our notes. We're going to compile our notes. We're going to give them off to the chairman, who is the head of that committee, and they're going to get back with Adam and Kevin, and we'll put them all together.
Yeah, and you can also listen to the tape. You can also watch the tape, as I mentioned, to see if you missed anything or whatever. We can review the tape for those questions. And then like I said, my motion was the questions, legitimate questions on the master plan, so we'll make sure that's done.
Yeah.
So that's my plan.
It's literally just a video, it's just a question about YouTube videos. Will this video be posted, completely posted?
No, it's online, it's automatic, it's on.
It'll be 2 days.
It'll be 2 days, my question is, this video will not be deleted and reposted 8 days later, because that's what happened with the initial April 28th video. I'm just making sure that, just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, the board
They
is.
only did it for 9 days after April 28th.
Yeah,
I think the meeting's closed.
The meeting is closed, but I want to give the respect to the people, yes.
Just one question.
Yes.
Will we meet again to get the answers, or will you post the answers, so how will we meet?
So I believe I just stated that we will come back in another date. That date is not set.
Okay.
Because the committee has to go, we
Okay.
have to accumulate the questions,
Thank you.
answer the questions, and then the committee has to reform and go over what, if anything, we might want to modify before coming back to the public.
And you will be noticed. Everybody, not everybody. That's a noticed meeting, so we do have to renotice, right, Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, one more question?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, which pan?
So, I just wanted to mention, there are numerous ways to do AI data centers, and water is the laziest and the cheapest way to do it. So perhaps we can add the question of how can we do this more responsibly based off.
Okay, but you see, what, you have to respect our side too. We are a bunch of board members up here doing the best job we possibly can with the information that is provided. You have to please tell News 12 and everybody else, we heard you. So we're going back to take a look at some of the things for the master plan. The other things that were talked about tonight, they're not part of the master plan. But you will have another forum to come up and talk about that. That's during other meetings. Your council meetings where ordinances are set and things like that, that's the give and take. Somebody asked a question about permits, were permits filed and this and that. Well, of course, they had to be filed, but we don't know that. Once it gets off of our desk, we don't know that. They have to follow their procedures, whether it's Roselle, Union, Kenilworth, anywhere, they have to follow that procedure. All of that is in the town hall in which they apply. But when there's an open application or an open special meeting, we can't speak to certain things because then it becomes a roadblock. It's not that we don't want to have the dialogue, we do. But you're asking us those questions somewhat at the wrong time. I hope, and I apologize for people that think I'm condescending and this, that. I'm really not that guy. You may still think that when you leave here, but I am not that guy. And when I said you don't live in this town, well, I do live in this town, and I am concerned, and there were things that were done here. We're going to take a look and see what's wrong. That's all we can tell you. We're going to do the best we can. I'm sorry?
I have a specific question about being notified for the next meeting. It said that each would be posted in the local source, but this one wasn't.
Or on the bulletin downstairs, I have photos from when I checked. It's nowhere updated for me to see.
So just the website? I would then take out the language in the agenda that it would be posted in the local source.
Or on the bulletin as well.
Okay. So there again. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
I make a motion to close.
Okay, motion.
Adjourn.
Adjourned by Mr. Ladati, second by Mr. David. All in favor? Aye. Have a good night, everyone.